Hello, friends. Hello, loyal audience. Looks like this is the commentary on Alien Dissected, Alien 1979 Dissected. It does appear that I have to make another video as a commentary or hindsight, retrospect commentary. Now, that said, the reason is I have a different opinion or different theory about certain aspect that in the course of the movie where we stopped last time appears to me to be a very prominent milestone in the undeclared script or the hidden script or the lines between the lines, if you will. But this here, I'm going to bring up this here, uh, the blue sperms, because this particular screen here, this particular uh, scene is very important. Excuse me. In transitioning, the movie toward, especially toward the endings, right? Give me a second. So this here will still remain as blue sperms, meaningly the sperms that were produced when Dallas or JFK succumbed to, he was kidnapped and then eventually he was burned by Ripley, right? But now there's a massive flux of sperms to establish a new nation, but this new nation is really blue. It's not red, right? Or, or anybody else. This here is now either a conversion or recruitment or birthing or something of the sort, right? So I'm going to come back to that. However, I'm going to take you to that scene where I believe is really instrumental in defining the hidden script. So here I am back to this particular scene, which is really when they burned Ash. Ash is a unique occurrence in this movie. And it traverses time, right? Within the script itself, that's what's good about the script is that they take a certain character and then represent it through different times, similar to the engineer, or not the engineer, rather than the fossilized person was back in time, which looks like Ripley, and then Ripley is a different, of the same type, of the same species, of so on, like the same mentality, dogma, blah, blah, group, a cult, club, blah, blah, right? But different times. So it gets resurrected, if you will. You just have to see that. So here, there is a very specific thing I commented on, and I noticed a few things I showed you. However, now I have a different theory that may redefine what I already said about the theories that I presented or suggested in regards to the movie. This particular one is really interesting. Give me a second.
Heard enough of this, and I'm asking you to pull the plug.
Okay.
I can't lie to you about your choices, but you have my sympathy.
We're gonna blow up the ship.
Okay. Now I also have a different pointer toward those things on the wall. They're also 4-1s, right? The 4-1, right? So that's what these are. They are representative of that. Give me a second. My theater here is like old-fashioned. One day I'm gonna get me one of those big monitors and better camera and so on.
We'll take our chances in the ship. Blow up the ship.
All right, let's talk.
You have my sympathy.
So she rejected his sympathy, right? Sympathies, but she also noticed that he's poking pun or fun. He's gloating. Let's put it this way about what will come and what she may encounter, or chances and so on. So she didn't like that.
We're gonna blow up the ship.
Okay, now there is something going on here. There is communication, as I mentioned, while here actually this moment from here on defines the new theory I have now, that I haven't cancelled or nullified the theories that I presented again, but then there is something new here I want to mention that goes back all the way to the movies, the beginning of the movie, even the titles. She's sad, woman, she's sad because there is relationship. While these two are talking, this is the language of the deep state, right? She's just really clueless to that.
We'll take our chances in the shuttle. Roll up the shuttle.
So again, I'm gonna repeat the same important note that he is taken here, right? For two reasons. Number one, there is still time, which means the xenomorph may find her, right? And I showed you in the transitory video that she was still alive at the end, while people speculated about her dying, about her blah blah, and but I showed you her silhouette in between in the steamy room, and then toward the end, even after Parker was killed, right, or converted or finished by the xenomorph, right? But here they know, so they don't want to take a chance of the xenomorph finding her, right? So that's why they're taking her along. Two, if they don't take her along, she may be able to stifle their operation. But here and along the movie, right? She is portrayed as feeble, as uninitiated, as unobserving, as knucklehead, as, and they're playing her. But why? Because she is on the ship, and who is she? I will show you. Notice. Okay, so here's where I got my hint, right? I showed you earlier. So they turn his face dark and black, and unfortunately, as I mentioned to you earlier, whenever they want to portray a demon or devil or from that species or other existence, if you want to define them as fallen angels and Nephilims and so on, right? Children of Lilith, right? So they're one-eyed monsters, right? So this is not human. We already know that, and that theory will not change. It's a fact about the script and where and their assumptions about life and who's who, right? So, but they're still being nice, and until the end, that's when they will waste hair, right? So here we go. So the look here is unmistakable, right? There is, the look of inquisitive look, right? Inspection, right? Triple check and so on in order to find out where she is and how she feels about the death of Ash, who is really the third element. So there are two elements, and they're making an assumption about Ash. As I mentioned, he's Prophet Muhammad as the third element, because to them, he beat the whole bunch, right? Right? So they try to attribute supernatural qualities to him. No, he's just a man, superior man in intellect and all, but he was chosen by Allah, God, to really carry his message. That's why they call him they call him two things. They call him the scientist because science was born on his age, right? And before that, there was nothing. Two, they call him a robot because he received revelation. He didn't make it up on his own, right? And that's what he said, right? And we see, sorry, pressed the wrong button on the control. I have fat fingers. So that's what okay, let's go to the next scene here. You saw the impression on his face and the indicator that he's a one-eyed monster. And then now Ripley, right? So going back, I made mention, or I theorized about the relationship between Ripley and the devil, right? What I think now. Here's what I think. I think Ripley is a species, right? And this guy is probably Lucifer. She is the devil or Nephilim, and Lambert, the lamb, the dumb one, is really humanity. So humanity and the jinns, as we define in Islam, or if you want to define them as fallen angel, these two here are two species. The script clearly demonstrates different predilection and disposition and understanding and action, and there's a lot of subtleties and concealment between she, right, between she and him. And then uh, 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 before that, Brett, right, Brett. But she and Cain, which I said was her son, right, she and Cain were the uninitiated type, is to the degree that he said, that you look dead, right? Remember, you look dead, meaning you just like don't understand what the heck is going on. And uh, here's what I am concluding now, that these are two different species here on Earth. So this now back to our original situation, where I speculated. I now believe that this is humanity. Lambert, Lambert, right? So Lambert is humanity. These are the jinns or demons, right? Cain is Adam, or Adam's son, or say uh, Dallas is Adam, Cain is his son, right? And I showed you instances or situations where he was looking at him like a boy looking at his father, right? And now the story is that Ripley or Sarah is a different creation altogether, right? And she wants to eliminate everything that is Lambert and Cain and Balaji or Bolaji. Now notice the similarities between the names. Ridley, the director, and Ripley. I don't know if that's a coincidence. Maybe it is. And the actor, the xenomorph actor, the Nigerian guy, Balaji or Bolaji, and then Balaji, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just something, or unintentional or intentional. I don't know. I don't take anything for chances here. I would make an assumption or suppose or assume that everything here being said and acted and put even on the walls and stuff like that has a meaning in that hidden script, in the script, right? That's what's go with those iconic movies, They are double layered, multi-layered, as a matter of fact. They're onions, similar to Shrek. In the middle, it's like a devil. I mean, a rabbi, and then outside, blah, blah, Muslim, Christian, even those Masonics, right? Anyways, so, and then what she is doing here, you could see the watch, right? I showed you about the watches when I showed you the fight between Ash and Ripley, right? And what they mean, the 13 watches, blah, 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 blah. Here, what that means is she is in control of the legacy of Prophet Muhammad, right? And she is controlling the succession or the successors, right? Or caliphates, right? She is controlling them. Hey, guess what? Even in the modern age, right? And she is pressing buttons, right? So now we know that Adam, she wants to eliminate the posterity of Adam, and then she wants to take it into another direction, which is the blue, right? And that's what I meant by at the beginning of this video about the sperms, the flow of sperms, and they're all blue, right? No more red, no more green, no more, brown, no more milk, no more chocolate milk, right? All right, all right. All right, so that's what I think it is. Let me take you back and then show you why I mean that. So we're back to the beginning, and I showed you that to look like a dollar sign, right? Two things going up and down, and not really rounding or circling or orbiting the planet here. Here's what I think now. This is like the beginning of creation. So Adam, right? And on that ship, which is really Earth probably, right? There are two species, as I showed you. There's Ripley here, and there's, I think I made such assumption early on in this series. But here's what I think. I think these are humanities, or either or, right? This is humanity, and this here is demonic entities, right? Or jinns, or fallen angel. But if you notice, this particular one has a halo, a shadow, or an expansion, lighter color expansion while this one here appears to be in the shadow of this particular one. So there's one prominent one, very obvious, very visible, right? Very large. And there's a smaller one that is really seems to be behind, behind the clutter here, right? Or the aura or something of the sort. You see what I'm saying? So that's probably Ripley and that's Lambert. And these are two different species. And then from the Islam, from the Quran, we know that they're called Thaqalain, as-Thaqalain, meaning the creation of humanity and the creation of the jinn. Right? So that's, I'm more leaning toward this particular theory now. Again, this here may mean the fallen from heavens onto earth, right? You know, how we, according to Islam, and not before that, how we dwelt in the Garden of Eden and so on and so forth. And then God or Allah decided to expel us, and then He expelled us onto earth. I think that's what's floating. So there are four elements here, right? So there's the Lambert, right? And there is the Lambert, and there is Ripley, two different species, right? Ripley is really Judaism, Lambert is really Islam, or Arabs and Jews, right? And then there is the angels, right? According to our religion, it's like they're made of light, pure light, right? While devils or jinns are made of smokeless fire, right? While humans are made of ancient organic clay. And then there is the devil, right? By himself. We don't know. I mean, here I'm making an assumption, but I think my theory is correct about this being the expulsion from heavens, right? So I did speculate about the sea before, but I may want to add a couple of notes here. The hibernation chamber or the hypersleep chamber. I think this is probably moving from heavens to earth or where we were created. And then the white either says they're angels. There are angels. I think we counted 3 of those gowns, right? I speculated about those being Zoroastrian priests and so on. But here it's probably more relevant to angels, right? Angels, and there are angels. I showed you that Zoroastrian or wings of angels emblem on the ship, right? So angels are all over this ship. And again, this here is a 4-1, right? So here, Cain obviously has been created, right? And he's born or something of the sort, right? And then he's the first one to commit or to wake up, right? So now there is that notion or fact, right, of the religion that when Adam committed the sin, right, by joining the evil tree, they say he ate from the evil tree. Yes, but here it means partaking or joining or understand or the evil tree, right? Right. So he woke up and he began to see his own private parts, right? And then he and his wife started covering their private parts, right? So that does look like it to me. Right? Let's see again. So see, he's seeing his private parts, right? That's how it is narrated in the Quran, right? بدت لهما سوآتهما وطفقا يخصفان عليهما من ورق الجنة, out of the leaves of the garden, right? So he sees now, and he picks up the white gown. I am speculating here, but him waking up first is, I think that's the beginning of the fall from heaven. So before that, may not be fall, but when we were in heavens, right, in the Garden of Eden, we really didn't care about anything. Everything was provided to us, right, according to the narration or the narratives in the Quran. Everything was provided for us. Everything was given to us, and then we were protected, and in provisions in profusion, and all that we needed, and And some people likened it to infants, being cared for by their own parents and mother, right? There's some truth to that, but here, and that means, right? That means we were almost asleep, right? Because it takes hardship to awaken. That's the difference between, say, street smart and book smart, right? So we were all asleep, right? Because we were in heavens. And again, all these now I can clearly see one, two, three, four. That's that, and and that's what it is. We awoken right here. We awoken, and it was him, really. Adam is, is the one who awakens first, right? Or he killed his own brother and stuff like that. So these are not certain speculations, but it does appear to me like they are different species, right? And one species, that of Ripley, want to do away with the other species, as it will show up in the end. I did show you in my transitory video how when Ripley blows up the ship, only the blue element is left. And that blue element, as I mentioned at the start of this video, is the sperms, blue sperms from Adam himself. So if you are anything else aside from blue, worshipping Ripley and so on, and being like subservient and serve to Ripley, you will be destroyed, even though you're from Adam, right? Is what they're saying. So here now I am speculating that Ripley didn't really have her own children, right? Rather, she gets children from elsewhere, from the sperm of the father, right? And it's just that's how it is. That's how I see it now. Uh, Maybe I am a little bit rugged about the narrative and how I tell you about the story, right? Or what I think this theory is. But you can conclude on your own, especially if you're expert on the stories of the ancient times and the heavens and earth and the Bible and the Quran. Well, mainly all these are from the Quran. Mainly, I mean, it's very obvious to me, right? You can complete the narratives, right? And here we see the beginning of the conspiracy. And I think I have a better view of this here, drying her hair from a shower. That's something Islamic, after, say, a woman and a husband being together, they must actually take a bath, right? So she's taken a bath. So, and now it's very obvious to me. This here is probably Eve or humanity, right? So like I said, there's a time factor here. Every character is not one and the same throughout the movie, right? Or throughout the film. So this one here is probably Eve, and then this here is Cain, and this here is Adam, right? They show them all three together at the start. So that's one side. That's the side of humanity. And she's washing. But later, as I showed you earlier, when she is feeling sad for Ash, that's humanity in general. So we can conclude that Lambert is really humanity. Cain is really also the son uh, of Adam or Dallas, right? But then again, it has its own political. There's, like I said, double layered, right, and multidimensional. Meaningly, here we're talking Iran, right, and then Ayatollahs in 1979, which is the release of the movie, and so on and so forth. So there is that side to it, and the financial side and so on. So this year is Iran replacing the United States, right, as a world power, if you will. So that's that. Now, so that's one side. They showed you that one side here. All those three. This is one family, right? This is one family. And now they go to the other family, right? And the other family is really these three, right? So Ripley feeding them or something, right? And here is Jonesy. And Jonesy, I now know, is really that Assad of Syria, right? Well, his name is not Assad. His name is like the beast, which means donkey or something like that, wildebeest and stuff like that. But that's what they call themselves, so hey, what the heck, right? And that's what it is. It's a cat, right? I'll show you. I have actually verified. This here, I mentioned earlier that I didn't know what it was, but I came to discover, right, that two things about it. this here is in fact either those old coffee pots, like when the Arabs uh, used coffee and so on, and then eventually it was spread by the Turks into Europe and here and there, right? That's this type of pot, right? They used it was like pretty much like that. However, now I'm looking at it and there's blood. If you see, there's like red color. So maybe they're drinking blood. Maybe they're drinking blood. I don't know. So let's continue. But here you see the others are, ash. I mean, not ash. So now you saw. Let's go back. So you don't see ash. Here you don't see ash, right? So this is a family. Adam, Eve, Cain, humanity, right? And then we see the other family, right? Or, okay, the first creed or humanity, and then there is the fallen angels or demons. That is Ripley or Sarah, right? Now notice, these guys are oblivious to things, smoking, eating, and so on. And while these guys are active, notice they're conspiratorial by nature, right? They're wily, they're foxy, you call it, right? And there's blood here. And then there's the cat. So the cat, I am not sure yet, like I told you, I am guessing that he is Ripley's son, but why would they want to portray a cat is beyond me. Well, so far, we haven't seen Ash, right? We haven't seen Ash. Notice, Ash is not here. So there are two families, no Ash, although Ash is part of humanity, as we saw earlier in earlier commentary, right? But this here is confusing. Now I'm going to take you back to 2001 Snake Odyssey, as I commented. Early on, there is that leopard that looked like the Sphinx and so on. But why the leopard? I explained about the qualities of the leopard and so on, being a god and whatnot, or, a supernatural entity and so on. But then it hit me. If you look at the poster of 2001 Space Odyssey, the earlier one, right? You will see that they're showing Southwest Arabia. And Southwest Arabia has leopards in it. You see? So the link is there. So here, I don't know about that. Like I say, this is either a coffee pot or it has blood on it. And then there's that, right? She fed the cat, right? Let's see. If you notice, and then the cat is sitting between them, but he is facing Ripley. So he's toward Ripley. Who he is, I don't know, but I think it's that animal of Syria, right? I'll show you. So, as you can see, right? See her hand? See her hand, right? Looks like a devil's hand, right? Right? Let's see that again. And here, I can see a face with an eye looking. A coincidence? Maybe. But there's definitely something here looking at us. There's an eye here. There's a nose. And, we make that, find out what that is. Possibly. Right? So these guys are worshippers of Allah or God. That's why they're looking up. And so is Ash, right? So he's worshipping now. That's significant of he looking up, right? Keep looking up. But the conspiracy is on. These guys can't just behave normally. They're always up to no good, right? Okay, so she's feeding them apparently, or eating with them. So that's that. Like I told you, I thought I saw a coffee pot here, right? But there is blood on it. So I don't know. Somebody is drinking somebody's blood, right? I don't know about those gestures. Maybe you can tell me. They look like gangsters gesture. So these guys are happy bunch, right? One, two, three. But on their side, they have that Ash. Look how he's looking, right? Suspiciously. He's not the one oblivious to what's going on. So he's kind of awakened. And that's Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he's a human being, of course, right? So we pretty much sorted out two species here. So I'm back to, feeling strong about this very theory that, there's like the humans, there's the demons, and there's Ash, which they consider outside of the species because he's got some qualities that they deem as supernatural, and they just couldn't beat him, he was like so overwhelming. They called him even the scientist, right, in some deleted scene, and so on and so forth. All right.
I am cold.
She's cold. I don't know what cold means. It probably means that she's out in the cold, and it may mean that, I don't know. It could mean anything to me, but here it's a little bit too far on the periphery or too vague, right? To make any interpretation of it. You need to think hard about it and consider the circumstances and so on. Or what's his name? The xenomorph Ridley Scott can tell you what it is. He said that mother is mom, similar to Hal. And that gave me an idea. When they call mother that, that place, the computer, and then there's Hal, and I explained to you in my commentary about 2001 Space Odyssey, Hal is La, right? Or Allah. So I'm making an assumption here, or I'm guesswork, that Hal is Allah, God, and Mom here, mother, is really the female goddess, right? And they have such concepts. I heard about them. I'm not sure that the other devil or Lucifer or whoever it is really a female. It's not a is not a male like we know in Islam. For example, in Islam, to us, he's a male figure rather than a female figure. But hey, guess what? These guys are making a lot of things and theorizing like I do here. Oh well, okay, all right. So I'm gonna revisit this scene here, even though they're on like one group, one team, probably one species, but may not be one species, right? Like devils and demons, as I mentioned. They're still yet, although they're functioning as a gang, as a team, but they're still dysfunctional. Even within the group itself, there are plotting and, you know, ill intentions and ulterior motives and bad plans, and they will turn on each other. Is what I'm saying. Something like that you don't see in among Dallas, Lambert, and Kane, right? And even Ash, right? Ash didn't show the side of plotting, right? Ash is very potent, mind, and, science, and knowledge, and. But in fact, here there is, but then yet again, there is dysfunction within the group itself. Although I had also theorized something else, and that goes like this: that in the financial takeover, right? There's that financial side to this movie, as well as Iran 1979 revolution, and the turban, and things of the sort, right? They are using the humans, so they, being devils here, are using the humans, right, to take over, 1979. And now the Narcissus, which is the white shuttle, I explained to you that that was the White House. Well, that was the White House, is the White House. And Dallas is really, in fact, JFK, who was killed in Dallas. Or it could be the white Narcissus. Narcissus means like God in his palace, which is separated from the ship, right? But controls the ship, the moving ship. But here you could see, I showed you before, the dysfunction that Ripley has regards to this guy. So Ripley and Brett are of the same species, but they're dealing with this guy who is the fallen angel or Satan, right? However, they want to screw him up. Notice what this guy just showed. I did show you this before.
Ripley, I want to ask you a question.
Here, the cigarette thing means burn him, you know.
If they find what they're looking for out there,
See? He's doing that here.
I mean, we get
So that's the deep state communication type.
bullshit.
Don't worry, Parker. You'll get whatever's coming to you.
So while it appears to you that this guy is totally dominating Brett, you know, Parker dominating Brett, and Brett is totally subservient to him, no, he's actually burrowing in his sphere and then undermining him, you know, he's subverting him and his rule, right?
Look, I'm not going to do any more work. You get this straightened out.
Meaningly him, right? You know, like things are not looking good. This, you have to clear him out, or you can clean him up, or get him straight.
Brett, you're guaranteed by law to get a share.
That he is guaranteed.
What?
Why don't you just fuck off?
But he fucks off. Now he tells Hare, get him, right? Do this to him.
What?
Okay, this I mentioned before, but I wanted to mention that again. Now notice here, I want to show you where I saw the word asset, right? I mentioned this before, but now I have a good definition of it, right? Here, you do not see that magazine behind her head, right? There's those watches. There's she, right? That is she, Safiya or Sophia, who told the Prophet, peace be upon him, that when he arrived in Medina, or to Medina, or Yathrib, right? That's the capital of Islam, right? And her father was chatting with his own brother. Her father was the leader of certain Jewish, there were 3 different Jewish or 4 different Jewish minorities in there. They were like totally separated. And his name was Huyay ibn Akhtab. Huyay ibn, or son of Akhtab. They're Arabs, as a matter of fact. They always used Arab names, right? And language and so on. And they didn't have anything really, right? And then he told his brother, her uncle asked him, right? You know, is that him? The awaited one, right? I mentioned this before, but I thought I'd elaborate on it with some names, right? And her father replied, that is him, you know. أهو هو قال إنه هو. And then his brother asked him, continued, what shall we do? Which is her uncle. And her father replied to his brother. She was witness to that. And then she told the Prophet, peace be upon him, about it, right? He says hostilities and war, or animosity and war. I do not recall the exact words in Arabic, but that's precisely what they planned on doing. Instead of accepting the fact about him being the awaited one, they decided just to be hostile, right? And cause all this misery and death and so on and so forth. There's a record, you know, of them trying to assassinate him. I do recall as many as 38 times, you know, trying to assassinate the Prophet. But that's what she told him. That's Sophia. Now notice behind her head, there are the watches, and there's some kind of a magazine. But that will change, notice. They portray him as such, man. He was never like that. Huh. So you notice here? That also shows you who she is. If you look here closely, right? Here you will see someone like, not human, sitting on some kind of a rock. You know, an imp or some gargoyle or something of the sort. But here they show you that again, who she really is, right? The one-eyed monster, right? Or the one-eyed creature, different from him. You see? You see that? That's what I mean. And that's what we saw when she was looking at Lambert toward the end. Okay, here we see something else, right? Let me slow it down. Okay, This is where I saw the word Assad, right? So here you see Passa, right? P-A-S-S-A. But if you read it backward, there's an A here, upside down. And there's double S, and there's an A upside down, and the P becomes D. So here there's Assad, right? That's the cat. That's the one who came into Syria in 1973, right? Well, they were there in early 60s, but that's the father, right? And he was like, he's definitely from Sarah's line, right? And then his son who just ran off, right? After murdering millions and so on and so forth. For them, it's a life nature, right? And you can probably make out some other meanings here, but that's the word Assad right there. ASSAP or D. If you look at it this way, it'll be a small d, right? Lowercase d. There you go. I'm not making this up. So again, the Assad thing also is the cat, right? And that also adds up to Iran or the 1979 revolution, as per Ripley, replacing the United States or becoming world power, right? So far, that's not working. With millions and millions upon millions dead and killed and murdered and maimed and impoverished and so on. What a resume they have, man. What a curriculum vitae. All right, so I want to show you something here. So here, Parker gets defeated, right? And then there's a very good gesture here. He used Lambert. Notice, Lambert was latching on to Ash and trying to pull him out, but he didn't respond to that, right? And she's behind him. Now, Parker was defeated. If you saw that he was like agonizing, mourning in agony and so on after he was, grabbed and wounded, right? And then he uses Lambert to take her place, right? And then attack Ash from behind when Ash is not looking. His arms are brown. Notice here, the color of his arms changed. Ripley, silences him. Notice. So he won't say anything to Lambert. Right? Notice. Notice. She's silencing him. Right? So there's a group work here, a coordinated effort, right? Concerted effort. She was holding him from behind, but then he comes through here. Ripley silences him, makes sure that he doesn't say anything to her, right? Or to anybody, right? Historically, that speaks volumes, right? Notice, he now uses the arms of the Arabs, like the brown chairs, right? Right? And now that figurine or puppet is now being flung around. Now he pulls her out because he has a sway on her. He holds sway on her. He controls her indirectly, right? Now he takes her place. And again, brown arm, that's Arab. Black face. Brown sheet. And the little girl that they accuse him of. The 4 daughters. And he uses unconventional weapons, probably money, finances. And then you're going to hear the shout from upstairs, right? So Lambert is where the Reds are, right? And obviously you see that silhouette of whatever you don't see. It's the helmet, yes. But I explained in earlier videos about the helmet. Okay, this is the last hint or note I'm going to make here, observation, and that's it for that. You know, as I told you, I can find like tons of observations, you know, by words, by speech, by visually, and subliminally, and so on. But, you know, I don't have forever for this. So notice what they're going to say. And the note I'm going to say now is about Antarctica.
Contact travel control.
Turn up.
This is commercial towing vehicle Nostromo, Ibis. Registration number 1899246.
Calling Antarctica. Traffic control, right? What is Antarctica? Antarctica, and this here plays into the theory, or confirms somewhat, you know, let's see. Confirms the theory of the two sides, or the two species, or the two dimensions. One is the demons or devils or fallen angel or jinns. One is the humanity, right? So there's Arctica, and if you observe the geographical features, you'd see that most of the, in fact, most of the humanity and land is really in almost all, or the majority is in the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere is almost all oceans, right? But there's that big Antarctica. Here, what they're doing is contacting their own, right? So their own Antarctica, anti, you know, like I would say, there's humans and there's devils. The other thing I want to say about, you know, when they burned ash and they looked at her with one eye, they may be hinting at something else. Now notice, here you would see those two threads, right? Or two, let's see, right? They're still there, right? So they may mean not exactly, you know what, let me go back there. So Antarctica is really the antithesis, if you will. Let me go back. All right, back to the scene, right? So I mentioned that the one-eyed monster could mean simply different species, right? Or different, like angels and demons and stuff like that, and humans, right? But this could also be humans, right? Here they may be talking about certain segment of humanity that is not so visible or obvious to other people, right? Normal, ordinary, all walks of life people. What do I mean by that? Well, maybe they're talking about masons, right? Because usually when you see the one eye, that's the pyramid and the one eye, right? Masons, right? Maybe they're masons, you know, right? So, like I said, maybe they're masons. No, I don't know. Maybe humans, because we have the sperm, you know, like the flood of sperm, blue sperm, meaningly also. This is not a species destroying another species. Rather, there is the Ripley side of the human family, right? That is its own, if you will, right? That is its own. And then that is its own. And then they're trying to destroy anything else and leaving that world only. Blue, red, and blue, right? So red is surrounding blue, but apparently the blue is two layers. You see what I'm saying here? All right, you know what? I think I'll stop here. and I believe I can make more commentary on these, but I'm gonna move on to the next video. I think the next video will be the last on this series, and maybe one commentary video on this as well, or the next production video, and then the commentary thereof. Have a nice day. This is your friend Ossama Ghalyoun. This series, I own copyright for the commentary and the production of it. The movie is owned by whoever made the movie, right? Great TV series. Bye now. Talk to you later.